Hello, everybody. Today we will talk about a fantasy fight that has recently come to my attention. A fantasy fight matchup, that has recently come to my attention. And that is the matchup between Dr. Robert Bruce Banner, aka the Incredible Hulk, versus William Joseph Batson, aka the original Captain Marvel, or as the kids like to call him nowadays, Shazam. For the record, I think both of these characters are awesome characters. I think they've really stood the test of time. I think they've been among the most well-written, well-developed characters in comic book and fictional history. But with that being said, I'm going to give my thoughts on who I think would win this fight. So, this is my thoughts. I think it's a very interesting matchup, and I do think it's going to come down to one of these characters underestimating the other. And no, this is not a death battle where they have to kill each other. Fight to the death. This is just one of those fights where they can either beat each other or outsmart each other to win. So let me give you a breakdown of each character. Now, obviously, a lot of you guys know who these characters are, but for those who don't, I'm going to give you a brief rundown of both of these characters. Let's start off with William Joseph Batson, aka the original Captain Marvel / Shazam. He was created by Bill Parker and C.C. Beck, and he made his very first appearance under the alias of Captain Marvel in Whiz Comics Volume 1, Issue Number 2 in June of 1940. Let me see if I got that date correctly. Oh, excuse me. It was February of 1940. My apologies. Anyways, his real name, as I mentioned before, is William Joseph Batson. And he's a 12-year-old, and he's somewhere around between the ages of 12 to 14, and for many years of his life, he's been an orphan. After I can't even talk straight. His original origin, which I'm going to be mostly using in this video, is that he lost his parents in a car crash. However, his cruel and abusive uncle Ebenezer Batson kicked him out and robbed him of his inheritance. So this kind of forced Billy to basically fend for himself on the streets of New York City, which, once it got merged into the DC universe, eventually became Fawcett City. But that's a different story for another time. So now Billy one day is out selling newspapers, and all of a sudden a strange, shadowy figure walks up to him and tells him to follow him to the train station. So Billy, out of curiosity, follows the shadowy figure, and all of a sudden a magical train shows up with all kinds of hieroglyphics, and takes Billy Batson across time and space until they approach a mystical cave. And I'm sorry, I'm skipping a lot of details here. As soon as the train stops, they enter a cave that contain the 7 statues that contain the 7 deadly sins / enemies of man. As they walk past the statues, as Billy walks past the statues, he sees a much older man, sitting on a stone-like throne-like chair, who eventually introduces himself as the ancient, powerful wizard known as Shazam, and tells the boy Billy that he has been fighting the forces of evil for thousands upon thousands of years, and has chosen Billy to be his new champion because of his good nature, his purity in heart, his strength in spirit, and his strength in his optimism. I'm sorry, and his not strength and optimism. Man, I've been butchering these words lately. I apologize. So he tells the young boy to say his name. Billy Batson shouts the word Shazam, and all of a sudden he is transformed into the wizard's new champion of magic, which he dubs Captain Marvel. And then, of course, as you all know, later years he will be redubbed as Shazam. He tells Captain Marvel that he is the new champion of magic, and he tells Billy to use his powers for good and to defend the forces of good from evil. Now, for those of you who want to know who and what his powers are, allow me to explain. When Billy shouts the word Shazam, each of the letters of the word gives him a certain ability. S in the word Shazam stands for the wisdom of Solomon. Now, for those of you who don't know who Solomon was, he was a king known for his superhuman levels of intelligence and wisdom. Solomon was extremely intelligent, a genius among geniuses, if you will. So, with this ability, in his Captain Marvel form, Billy is a genius among geniuses. He also has hypnotism, clairvoyance, a good conscience. He's also expert in mathematics and strategy. I mean, it's been shown that on his Captain Marvel form, he's able to command Egyptian armies. And it also enables him to become omnilingual. I mean, he can speak all kinds of languages you can possibly imagine. Now, the H in the word Shazam stands for the strength of Hercules. Now, everyone knows who Hercules is from Greek and Roman mythology. He is the demigod known for his immense/immeasurable levels of raw physical strength. This ability makes Billy one of the strongest beings in the DC universe and one of the strongest superheroes of all time. I mean, throughout the course of Billy's illustrious career in the comics, his raw, immense strength has been often compared to not only Superman and his arch nemesis Black Adam, but even to other godlike superheroes and supervillains. The first A in the word Shazam stands for the stamina of Atlas. Atlas is the legendary tide known for holding up the heavens for an eternity. This ability grants Captain Marvel unlimited stamina and endurance as well as self-sustenance. Z in the word Shazam stands for the power of Zeus. Much like the legendary Olympian Skyfather from Greek mythology, Billy can control, manipulate, project, and control the living lightning in a multitude of ways. He can project lightning from his hands. He can hurl thunder like lightning bolts. He can use the magical lightning as like an orbital strike, similar to how he did it again. I'm so sorry. Similar to his fight with Superman in the Kingdom Come storyline. He can use it to alternate back and forth between his mortal form and his superpowered form. It grants him vast resistance to magical attacks. However, only beings that possess high order levels of magic, like the Spectre, the Wizard Shazam, Dr. Fate, can hurt him with their magical attacks. The power of Zeus also grants Billy accelerated healing, access to interstellar travel, meaning he can use it to teleport back to and back from the Rock of Eternity. The power of Zeus also grants Billy Batson the ability to conduct a wide variety of magical spells and sorcery. But most impressively, though, that the Wizard Shazam considers his greatest ability within the power of Zeus is his power sharing. He can share his power with anyone he chooses. There was even a moment in the comics where, I'm not kidding you, he shared his power with Superman to stop a giant evil frog, a giant monster frog, from destroying the Earth. I'm not making this shit up. Now, the second A in the word Shazam stands for the courage of Achilles. Now, Achilles is the legendary Greek hero from the Trojan War, known for his incredible fighting ability as well as his near invincibility, and of course his fearlessness and courage in battle. This grants Captain Marvel / Billy Batson near invincibility minus the Achilles heel weakness. As a matter of fact, it has been shown in the comics that Captain Marvel has greater levels of durability than Superman, considering that, as I stated before, that he has vast resistance to magical attacks. As a matter of fact, Superman even stated that Billy fares against the supernatural forces than him. To prove my point even further, Billy was able to withstand blasts from the Voidhound, a weapon so powerful it destroyed 10 star systems in his test run, and it even survived being turned inside out by a Tesseract bomb. And afterwards, Billy said that he believed that none of the other Justice League members like Superman, Wonder Woman, and Power Girl would have survived it. And last but not least, the M in the word Shazam grants Billy the speed of Mercury. This makes Captain Marvel easily one of the fastest and swiftest beings in the universe. His speed is so great it has been stated that it could possibly be greater than Superman's and truly rivals that of the Flash. There was a moment in the comic books where he was able, even though this was an Elseworld story, where he was able to catch up to Barry Allen Flash while Superman himself couldn't. And in mainstream continuity, especially during the post-crisis era, where Billy in his Captain Marvel form was able to keep up at light speed with the fastest and the most powerful of the Flashes, Wally West. He has incredible flight speed. He has incredible combat and reactionary speed. I mean, this dude is extremely powerful. Now, among those powers that he has, as I said before, he has a genius level intellect. As Superman, and he told Superman during their team up in First Thunder, he says with the wisdom of some, he just knows things. He's also pretty damn good in intimidation. There were some moments where he intimidated some abusive father. I'm not kidding you. He's good in occultism. He's very charismatic. It's been regarded in the comics that Billy is in this Captain Marvel form as even a bigger Boy Scout than Superman. And even Superman himself said that there have been times where this young man has shown greater levels of optimism than him. He's also expert in throwing. He's also have pretty good skills in hand-to-hand combat. He was trained by Batman in his Billy Batson form. So there's that. Now that we move on to a character that most of you guys are more familiar with, and that is the Incredible Hulk. He made his very first appearance in the Incredible Hulk Volume 1, Issue Number 1 in 1962. He was created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. And Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, when they thought of this character's creation, they took inspirations from Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Frankenstein, and Quasimodo from The Hunchback of Notre Dame. The Hulk has basically been regarded in the comics as one of those misunderstood characters, and that's one of the main reasons why he's so popular, because he represents that very well. Anyway, his comic book origin is pretty much simple and to the point. His real name is Dr. Robert Bruce Banner. He's a world-renowned physicist, especially when it comes to nuclear and gamma radiation. One day, while testing a gamma bomb, a teenager named Rick Jones approaches the testing site. Bruce tells his assistant Igor to halt the countdown as he rushes out to get the teenager out of harm's way. However, little to Dr. Banner knowledge, I'm so sorry. Little does Dr. Banner know is that Igor, his assistant, was a Russian communist spy. So, with little regard for Bruce's instruction, he initiates the countdown. As Bruce runs out to get Rick Jones out of harm's way, he runs him over he throws him down into the trench. However, before he could save himself, the gamma bomb goes off, bombarding Bruce Banner with massive levels of gamma radiation. Bruce then later on miraculously wakes up in a recovery room, in which doctors tells him he is lucky to survive that bombardment of radiation. Rick Jones, the boy he saved, thanks him for risking his life for him. However, later that day, Dr. Banner undergoes an incredible transformation. No pun intended. He then transforms into a large, muscular, gray-skinned behemoth which would later be dubbed as the Hulk and goes on a rampage. Yeah, for those of you who do not know, the Hulk, when he first appeared in the comics, was gray. And the reason was because Stan Lee and Jack Kirby didn't want the character to be associated with any ethnic group. So, yeah, that's pretty darn interesting. Anyways, um, later on, the character's skin color would be changed to his iconic and famous green color. Anyways, the Hulk years later would become a founding member of the Avengers alongside with Thor, Iron Man, Hank Pym, and his ex-wife Janet Van Dyne. Um, so yeah, now everyone should know who the Hulk's powers are. He has the potential for limitless raw physical strength based on the height of his temper and the more radiation and dark magic he absorbs. He has near invulnerability, immense levels of superhuman stamina, superhuman speed, agility, and reflexes. He's not a speedster, but he definitely can move extremely fast beyond the levels of a normal person. He can leap incredible distances. There was a moment where he was able to leap 1,000 miles in a single bound. And if he does get injured, he has one of the greatest levels of regeneration in all of comics and fiction. I mean, there was moments where he was chopped up into pieces, and within mere seconds, he was able to reassemble himself. I mean, there was a moment where he got almost every ounce of his muscle mass was frayed off by Vector, the leader of the UFOs, and the Hulk regenerated his body mass within seconds. He has reactive adaptation, meaning his body can to adapt to almost any type of environment, like outer space and underwater. Speaking of underwater, the Hulk can develop glands that can enable him to breathe underwater. And he can also emit and manipulate his own levels of gamma radiation. In this World Breaker mode, if the Hulk gets too angry, I'm sorry, I'm going all over the place. Um, the Hulk has the ability to emit and manipulate gamma energy, as well as absorb it, as I said just earlier. Um, as well as dark magic. He can absorb and catalyze radiation in dark magic. He can emit and manipulate gamma energy. If the madder the Hulk gets, the more radiation he puts out. However, when he reaches his World Breaker mode, his entire body glows with immense levels of gamma radiation, as if he's going Super Saiyan if he was a Dragon Ball Z character. Outside of that, he has an indomitable will. As Bruce Banner, he has a super genius level intellect, making him one of the smartest characters in the Marvel Universe. He has pretty good amount of experience in hand-to-hand combat due to his years as a superhero, as well as his time on Sakaar during the Planet Hulk saga. He even received some martial arts training from probably the second best fighter in all of Marvel Comics, Daniel Rand, aka Iron Fist. He has self-restraint, he's multilingual, and that's about it, really. So that's the powers and abilities and skill sets of both of these combatants. If I was to give my honest thoughts on this fight, I'd say Cap Billy has somewhat of an edge because he has the wisdom of Solomon. Granted, he is a kid, and he is reality a kid in a man's body. But when his Captain Marvel form, he has been shown to be a bit more mature than some other superheroes, a bit more optimistic than other superheroes, and he has the power of Zeus. He can use the power of Zeus in a multitude of ways in a battle against the Hulk. But then again, you have the Hulk, who has an impressive battle resume, who has fought Thor, Silver Surfer, Gladiator, um, Hercules, Red Hulk, and so many other famous and iconic powerhouse characters. So, to me, I'd probably give a slight edge to Billy, But let me know what you guys think. Do you think it's going to be the Hulk or Captain Marvel / Shazam? See you guys next time. Peace.